Wizard Wednesdays is going to be the biggest podcast someday. Joe Rogan will be begging to come on to Wizard Wednesday.
So you're telling me someone spent $2,000 for that flame? Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, exactly. If you guys want to speak, then just put in a request. We'll let you up. I'm hoping you guys are going to have lots of questions about the flames today. I think that'll be the topic of conversation.
What is up, my dudes?
Hello.
Hey, hello.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wizard Wednesday, my dude.
Wednesday.
Very exciting stuff. This is my first Wizard Wednesday. I'm really excited to be here.
So glad to have
Welcome.
you.
Everyone needs to head over. Yeah.
It is 1 after. Dotta, you ready to get started?
So ready.
Okay. Welcome to Wizard Wednesday, everybody. This is Elf
and Dotta,
channeling in from the Quantum Downs. The sacred flames have been spread across the metaverse. These flames are held by the most ancient and the most studious wizards. These flames are younger than a unicorn stallion, but older than a phoenix hatchling. They are hotter than the passions of a mad pyromancer, but colder than the depths of Dreamaster Lake. What do these flames do? How do wizards use them? Dotta, give us all the answers.
Okay, so many of you wizards, about 1,112 of you to be exact, received a flame NFT in your wallet this weekend. So we talked about this last week, actually. We said it will go to the longest wizard holders as well, and to give a chance to some new folks, as well as the first 100 unique addresses to write in the Book of Lore. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but actually, I think that we only had maybe about 80 unique writers in the book when we announced that last Wizard Wednesday. And then, by Friday, only maybe another 21 people had written. So there was a good opportunity for everyone who tunes in to Wizard Wednesday and to those who write into the Book of Lore. We don't have any specific plans, but we've definitely talked internally that when we have to choose people that we want to prioritize for these sorts of things, Wizards is about creating, and the Book of Lore is a good objective way to record those who have created. So, the flames. The flames will be used for Forgotten Souls, which will happen on Halloween. The idea is that your flame is a token, and your wizard, of course, is also a token, and that you will be able to burn both of these tokens at the same time for a chance at a Forgotten Soul. Now, this might be a ghost wizard, it might be something more powerful, but you're also playing with dark magic when you decide to burn a wizard, and so there's a chance you might receive something undesirable.
Yep.
You're playing with black magic here.
Yeah, so just to emphasize, when you decide to burn, if you decide to burn, you'll definitely receive something back. There's no circumstance where you'll receive absolutely nothing.
That's right.
But that something may be quote unquote undesirable.
And we
go ahead.
We can't decide whether or not that's desirable to you or not, or desirable to other wizards, but you do need to know that there's a risk there. And we don't mind sharing the risk. We recognize everyone has to kind of make their own judgment calculations. And so we don't mind sharing that the risk of getting an undesirable, which is also an NFT, is roughly 1 in 10. So you can factor that into your calculations when it comes time to burn and you decide if you're willing to take that risk.
Yep. But it's interesting because like one interesting dimension to these undesirables is even though we're classifying them as undesirable, they're still actually a more rare NFT. And so
now you're trying to make them desirable.
Yeah, no, I'm curious how like the community will react. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to give too many details about what exactly these undesirable events are. But yeah, I think it's just like some interesting. It'll be an interesting balance.
And there's no time limit on your flames. One of the reasons why we went with flames instead of, for example, saying first come, first serve, the fastest to the draw could burn their wizards, is because one, opening it up at a specific time, that that is an auction of its own, which is like who's willing to pay the most gas. It's frustrating for people who pay gas and don't get it. It also like prefers people who happen to be in the time zone when which the doors open. And we don't necessarily want people to rush into making the decision to burn a wizard. And so there's no time limit for the flames and for when you can decide if you want to burn or hold. And so, we're excited about the Forgotten Souls collection. I've seen some of the art, and I don't mind telling you that, my jaw is on the floor and I just love it so much. I think seeing Elf's art is one of my most favorite things about collaborating with him. And so I'm like very, very excited for Halloween for this to drop. But, it's not without risk.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I don't want to scare people away from burning. And my personal preference would see more people burn than not. Um, but yeah, I mean, but at the same time, yeah, there's risk involved. Like what do they always say about crypto is only put in what you're willing to lose. And so, I would just say if you've got a really special, unique wizard, are you willing to lose it? Um, or if you've got like a generic lame wizard, not that any of them are lame, of course.
What?
Exactly. But are you willing to lose that one? And so I think that's sort of the risk you need to calculate. But yeah, it'll be super interesting. And I also wanted to.
I think another thing.
Yeah, go.
Oh, sorry, I wanted
No,
to
go for it.
before we move on.
Go for it.
Which is, some of the questions. So yeah, if anybody has questions about the flames, I think now's a good time. We're happy
Yeah,
to open the
let's
floor
do
and have
that.
people ask questions. Raise your hand. But one of the questions that I had in chat was around like, does your wizard affect the soul that you get on the other end? And the answer is absolutely yes. Like, what you get on the other end is like the next phase of your wizard. Like they're of course affected by the input wizard.
Well,
and so it's not that there's not without chance, but
yeah, mostly they do.
Yeah.
Mostly, but it's not guaranteed.
Right, there are no guarantees.
Yeah. Zayla Soul, what's up?
All right, can we in the community take it upon ourselves to like give these leftover items utilities? Say you get an ash or a skull, can we build something around them? Say use them for alchemy potions or something like
Heck
that.
yeah, you can.
Of course.
Yeah, in fact, I hope you do that. That's super cool. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, they would be rare items. These would be the only items you'd be able to get from such caves.
exactly. Yes, you nailed it, buddy. Like we said, like even though it's an undesirable, it's maybe actually more rare. But like I don't think you want if you own the Wizard of Oz wizard, do you really want to trade that for like I don't know, like a pile of ash or something? I'm not so sure that's a good trade.
Although there's a 1 in 10 chance if you burn there are no sacred wizards. Every wizard from the Dota wizard on down, notice how I just ranked myself, is able to be burned, and we have planned for it.
Yep.
So if you are the gambling type and you want to risk your ultra rare, then step up to the gate, step up to the flame.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I mean, maybe we're just like beating a dead horse at this point. But like, if the Dota wizard doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get an ultra special Dota wizard in return. It's just it's a gamble. Let's just leave it at that. Edward, yes, you've got your hand up.
Hello.
Hi.
First of all, oh nope, didn't mean to put my hand back up. First of all, Dota, thank you so much for your wizardry this weekend. I appreciate you a lot.
Of course.
And I had a question because the undesirables, if they're only a 1 in 10, that sounds like pretty good odds. But it did seem like previously when you were talking about burning that there might be a third or a fourth option that happened when you burned. It wasn't just ghost or let's say ash. Is that the case, or am I misremembering, or have things shifted?
There's also like rares in the collection. I don't think I'm revealing too much by
Yeah,
saying that. But
fine.
they're like, yeah.
Yeah,
So I think those would be the three options. Like you for sure get an NFT on the other side, and those would be your three options, which is like some sort of soul or ghost or like let's say
yeah,
being.
an
Is that the right
undead
word?
being.
Yep, is one option. An undesirable scenario where you're sort of left with that. And then there's also ultra rares. So there's
Yep.
those would be the only three cases that I would sort of classify them. There's no case where you receive like literally nothing, where you just burn your tokens and
Yeah.
then, like there's nothing in return.
Okay, cool. I'm very wow. I really thought, oh yeah, I won't even burn till December at least, and now I'm like, well, if it makes it till November 3rd, it'd be lucky. So we'll see.
Yeah. Magus, you've got your hand up. What's up?
Yeah, just if you don't mind revealing maybe if this is too much or not, but I actually was interested in the idea of for runes. Are we perhaps going to get some like new runes in the collection based off of? I was thinking there's like some maybe like runes that haven't been put into collection that are a bit more like occult that may make it in. If you may want to reveal that or not.
Yeah, good question. I think that's something that we're actually still debating. Because I've pretty much got all the character art done, all the familiars, all the spells and items. Runes is something like we're still debating, I think, honestly.
Yeah, we haven't decided. I would think my instinct would be that the rune again, this outcome is really a continuation of the same wizard. It's not necessarily that you're like typically getting a new wizard so much as it's just like this wizard was sent through a flame. What happened? And so in that sense, I don't think I I don't want to overcommit. Maybe we'll change our mind, but I wouldn't expect that your rune would necessarily change, at least not very deeply. It's at least going to be a transformation rather than like a straight out replacement. Would be my expectation. I don't know, Alf. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Awesome.
I don't know if that is a great answer.
No, that's a
but-
great answer. It's perfect. I actually wasn't expecting to reveal too much, but just the fact that you're still kind of in the process of thinking about these things is good enough for me. So, excited for what you have in store.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, and one other thing that sort of like popped up around this whole event was some people were upset that they did not get a flame, and I totally understand that. Like Dota and I knew from the very beginning we had like 5 different strategies on the table of how to distribute these things, and every one of them resulted in somebody being upset. Like there just was no way that everybody was going to be happy. So we've done our best to like make as many people happy as possible. I think a few wizards, it was just what would you call it? Like a glitch, Dota, in the distribution contract that we remedied.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about this. So I mean, I feel actually pretty satisfied with how it went out, given the fact that we had around 2,300 holders and there were only 1,112 flames. So like, ultimately, like this isn't sort of a case where the great burning is really a token burning fundamentally in that like we're burning a wizard. So we were never going to issue 10,000 flames to burn the whole collection. So right out of the gate, you've got half of the people who hold wizards wouldn't be receiving a flame. And so then the question is, well, who do you decide? Like who gets it? And so we're like, well, it should be the longest holding people. And then as soon as we said that, people are like, well, I've been holding for a long time, but then I changed wallets. And we also were talking a lot internally about how, really there's newer wizards who have been super active versus some people that have been holding for a long time and maybe haven't been. And so I think the Book of Lore was a good opportunity where we basically hinted 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times in the Secret Tower saying, hey, by the way, you should write lore. And then even like explicitly said it last Wizard Wednesday. So I do feel like it gave an opportunity of people who are here, who are around, who are like fresh, and but also participating to get the opportunity. So yeah, in terms of the glitches, there was really I had really like well, it's a mistake really relative to my intention in the SQL query, and thankfully we got off a bit easy in that there was really two wizards it affected. And one of those wizards was a long holder, so they got a flame anyway. And then the second wizard, who's here today, they also had written the Book of Lore. So we just really had one wizard that was affected by that bug, so we made him whole. Like we had a flame. Interestingly enough, actually, when we did the distribution, some of the flames actually went to contracts, and a couple of the contracts bounced those flames back to us. And so we had the flame to be able to kind of make that right. That said, we have noticed some pretty strong generosity. There was at least one wizard who gave away their flame to a fellow wizard.
Yeah.
It was an incredible act of generosity. I believe that was Wizard 206. I should have written that down. Am I right about that? Someone want to say in the Secret Tower who that was?
Yeah, I think it
don't-
was him. I think it was Small Protect.
Small Protect, you are a gem.
Small Protect, yeah. There's one other wizard who will remain anonymous, but has also been extremely generous with his flames. That I'll have to check with him before I call it out. But in any case, yeah, we've just been seeing some great camaraderie within our communities. So.
Yep, it's been beautiful. And then if a lot of you may have noticed that the flames were distributed from a new contract called the Infinity Veil contract. And I chose some artwork for that contract, and I can explain that. But first, Dotta, do you want to talk about like future plans with the Infinity Veil contract? I feel like more things are going to come from that, right?
Yes. So that collection, I guess maybe on a technical side, is a collection from which, well, I have to be so careful about making future promises. Here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
That contract supports the technical functionality of future mystical items to exist. We'll leave it at that.
Excellent. Yeah. And so last week, Dotta asked me what kind of artwork should we use for this contract. And so I thought long and hard.
So this would be the collection. You're saying the collection on OpenSea, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sidetrack. Collection and contract. I suppose those are two aspects of the exact same thing, right? Or do you want to break that down technically?
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. So, okay. So on a collection on OpenSea is so here I'll post in the Secret Tower just so folks can see the artwork. Have it pulled up. So a collection on OpenSea is actually just a collection of NFTs, and by default they do map one collection to one contract. But it's almost like a folder. NFT OpenSea will let you put other NFTs in these folders.
Okay. That's all you want to say about it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess I was just saying is like the artwork that you created, which is for the Infinity Veil contract. Like we will only use this artwork for that contract, for that collection. The way that you see it right now is on OpenSea, which I pasted in the Secret Tower.
Great. Okay, I'm going to post the Infinity Veil artwork on Twitter right now. Hold on just a second, because I want to talk about this. There's something fun about it.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, just posted it on Twitter. So yeah, this piece of artwork is inspired by a woodcut that nobody knows who the original artist is, which is okay. Already, that's freaking cool. And so, but it's usually called the Flammarion engraving. It first appeared to academia in this French meteorology book, And get this, in 1888. Okay, 3 8s. Now, if all the flames are used, that means that there will be 8,888 wizards remaining. Okay, and this illustration was first appeared in 1888. So okay, so that's fun. Secondly, this image sort of encapsulates how ancient astronomers used to think about the sky and all the celestial bodies in it. And so it seems to imply a flat Earth, and then the stars as sort of a blanket or a veil that is separating us from the infinite cosmos. But of course, there is a little wizard piercing that veil. And what he sees upon piercing it is this extraordinary hybrid between magic and machinery. There's a wheel perched in the heavens. And so this suggests to me that these ancient astronomers had some sense that there was a rotational aspect to the skies and that they worked with the regularity of a machine. And so by piercing this infinity veil, you gained some sacred knowledge about the deepest mysteries of the universe. And of course, the person who is doing this is a little wizard. So I thought this image was perfect for our Infinity Veil contract. I reworked the original engraving just to fit our purposes, but that's where it comes from, and it just seemed perfect for what we were doing. And I've always been a fan of this image. I'm sure many other people in our spaces right now has seen this before, but I love it.
Likewise. Well, we've got a couple other questions about the souls popping up in the chat.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, so we have got a question from Spaz. I don't know how we say your name, SPZ. So first off, shout out to Spaz. We have a lot of wizard shout outs coming out, but I'm going to start with one right now. Great work on the turnaround ballot. It's so awesome. I mean, I know I was complaining about maybe the size earlier, but like, love to see it. You love to see it. I know that I have a couple other things that are popping up now that we're using it in terms of the like artwork. But Spaz, thank you so much for writing that like turnaround bot. It's really exciting. Can't wait to try it out. But Spaz has a question and says, did I miss my chance to ask a question about the burn? No, okay. He says, the question is, does any given wizard always produce the same burn result, or are there other factors involved, e.g. timing or the order of the burn? Interestingly enough, Ethereum doesn't actually have a clock built in. You can't actually say like, oh, is it 6 o'clock or whatever. Really, the only like sort of truth of time that the blockchain respects is the blocks themselves. And I can tell you that yes, your timing is certainly affected. Let's not put a value judgment on it. But I will say this, that it is affected both by your wizard and also by your choice of timing. We have another question from CypherDAO. Are the ghosts on chain like wizards? I love this question. So I've thought a lot about this. One of the like challenges with souls and the ghosts is the fact that basically your neighbor chooses when they want wizard. So part of kind of the on-chain mechanic of putting wizards on chain is we did it all in bulk, right? We pre-generated the collection. We were able to like put the whole collection on chain. I think even before minting. With souls, this won't necessarily be possible at the same rate because like for the first week, maybe only 500 souls have been burned or something, right? Like, what do you do with the souls that haven't been burned? Because it depends on who decides to burn, what order, what time. It actually can't be known. So I think that we will probably do some sort of like, let's say, snapshotting or something. Like we're going to figure out a way to get them stored on chain like wizards. But there will always be maybe a bit of lag time between like when they're minted and when they end up on chain because of just the fact that like it's literally like indeterministic. Does this make sense?
Not at all, but I'll roll with it. No, I think it does. I just wanted to be contrarian.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, I think I get it. Any other questions? It's so funny because, like, when we dropped the flames, the Discord just exploded with people asking questions, all of which I felt like we had answered in previous Wizard Wednesdays. But I mean, clearly they were not in attendance to those, and so which is it's totally fine. But yeah,
It was really interesting to see all of the like people show up, like folks have been holding for a long time and who like came in and like they're like, oh, like I got this flame. What is it for? What are we using it for? What does it do? You know, is this project dead? My personal favorite.
yeah, definitely.
And it was great to kind of like re-engage everyone. And yeah, I feel like there are a lot of people who are kind of holding who like they were like, oh, this project is like still like dropping cool stuff. And so that was fun to have like it feels like we had new wizards kind of drop in and I like that.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about it is this idea of the game theory involved in all of it, and the social engineering. It's like just this simple airdrop with the question of to burn or not to burn has just like caused such engagement and not like an uproar, but just like it's so interesting how this one simple thing has like just caused a shift in the community. And so
Yeah, someone was. Oh,
I was
sorry.
gonna say I think like even we learned a lot just from this, and like we're already thinking of new ways to like leverage these airdrops.
Somebody said that like their daughter had a like wizard early on and she ended up getting a flame. So, you know, I assume, you know, young teenager is how he kind of made it sound. And so she's already sort of scheming like, oh, do I sell the flame, you know, on the secondary market or do I hold and burn? And like, how do I think about it? And how do you think about the rarity of the collection? And I think, you know, even as much as we kind of like structured it, we still are curious to see it play out on our
Yep,
own.
for sure.
I will say, guys, being on this call makes me extremely nervous to only be holding one wizard. And I think I might need to correct that situation right away.
Well, the floor has been pinned to 0.44 for 8 days straight, which, like, you know, whatever. Like, I'm not making excuses for. I don't really like to talk about why the price was one way or the other, but there is an objective fact that there's been like some technical. We've been dubbed them the glitch wizards, which have been pinned to the floor for 8 days. So two of them, you know, we started like making noise. We submitted requests to OpenSea. I went into the official OpenSea Discord. There were 15,000 online members all asking for support and one support rep in the OpenSea Discord. And so we, you know, we've been fulfilling reports and whatever. There's one wizard who just became a glitch wizard this morning. I'm going to paste it in the Sacred Tower. Really, everyone, if you haven't already, go and click the like 3 dots and report this wizard to OpenSea as like being impossible to buy. You know, if we were to have some big news coming up the next couple of weeks, we really wouldn't want to have this sorcerer like pinned to the floor. And so hopefully we can get it you know, resolved soon. And all that to say, if you wanted to buy a wizard, you know, that would be, you know, well, whatever. I'm not going to say what you should or
Tell
shouldn't
me,
buy, and I don't even
tell
want to
me
go
the
into talking about the
exact
floor.
wizard to buy right now.
Yeah. I want you to buy Sorcerer Ixar of the Marsh.
Okay, I bought it. It's
Buy that
mine.
now.
It's in my wallet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is super annoying. If it's not clear, like
Yeah.
there's some wizards that are stuck in transaction on OpenSea. It's just a pure glitch. There's nothing we can do about it, but it's totally holding the floor down artificially. So this has happened with other projects. This happened to Craniums.
Yep.
This happened to who else?
Apes, penguins, a couple others that are smaller. Like I had one of the cranium devs. He was super generous with his time this morning. Had him in the DMs, and he was like explaining to me like, oh, we did it. He said, oh, and I'll tell you what, there's like 2 or 3 people that have told me they're like, oh yeah, and Nate helped us with that. And so Nate, kind of the like, OpenSea exec, and like get these fixed, but he's not there anymore. So we've got to kind of find new contacts and new ways. So I'm sure they'll get it dealt with. OpenSea, of course, is dealing with like unprecedented growth, and I'm sure they have a lot on their plate. But I'm pretty like, I'm ready for these wizards to go away. Not go away as a wizard, but like the sales.
Yep.
I think you're trying to preface that you're ready for them to be burned as a result of glitch
burn
wizards.
them and make it all go away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. These are the first one on my list.
Bear Snake, what's up, buddy?
Wizards!
Hey.
Guys, I'm having quite the day. I'm happy to be here. Sorry, I'm late.
It's okay.
Yep, fine. A wizard is never late.
Well, wizard's always on time.
He arrives precisely when he means to. Bear Snake, do you have any updates or anything for us, or you just wanna hang out?
Well, I definitely just want to hang out, but as far as updates go, and I think I sort of said this a couple of weeks ago. Part of my job is sort of interfacing with entities and people that work at a much different pace than this space. So there's a lot of really cool stuff cooking, and I hope that you guys are patient with us and with some of the stuff that we're working on that falls outside of like the lightning speed of the NFT space. But every day I sit down and look at all the sort of chess pieces that we have on the wizard map, and I'm so excited, and not to be so vague, but just like really appreciative of everybody that's on this call and everybody that's a part of this community. I spend a lot of time looking at other communities, getting in other Twitter spaces, listening, talking sometimes, and without fail, I can't help, and obviously I'm a bit biased, but can't help but just to think that we're building something a bit different and something that has more legs to it. So
not to double down on this because we can't talk about details, and it annoys me to not talk about details. But like I would say, I think we have like at least 3 contracts floating around right now, and I would say that probably most wizards here can't really articulate some of the stuff that you've been working on, Bear Snake, in the background. But then in like 6 months from now, everyone is going to know these things with like specific names, and I can't wait to talk about your like specific accomplishments. But like you said, we're working with outside partners for significant deals, but like they work at a different pace, and so we just kind of have to like, for them, if it takes 2 weeks to redline a contract, that's business as usual. Then for us, that feels like 2 years, right? It's like so much time in the NFT space, and so I'm super looking forward to like discuss your accomplishments with like specific names and deliverables, which like for sure will happen as soon as those things start getting signed.
Yeah, I mean, in my world, I negotiate contracts for like 6 months before you can ever even talk about it. It's not going to take that long here. Not going to take that long here,
right?
But it is frustrating. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys talked about this, but something that I want to just throw out to the community is that I think everybody, at least in this conversation right now, understands what we're doing and why it feels a little bit different and why it feels a little bit special. But I spend a lot of time in these other projects in the Discords and again in the Twitter spaces, and I, besides our friendly glitch wizards, which seem to be, did that third one get taken care of, Dotta?
No.
So we have one left. Okay.
Yeah. I just asked someone to report it.
Nice. So 2 out of 3. That's not so bad. But I would like to throw it out there, and even beyond just like the normal people who talk in this space, but of course, the regulars are welcome to respond. I think something that we all grapple with, I think I can speak on the behalf of everybody on the team, is looking at what we're doing and wanting to make sure that there feels like there's an X factor out there for some projects. Some are older, some are newer. I'm a little bit newer to the space, but I'd love to just understand why people think where we're at. Where do you think that we will be in 6 months? I can't help but to look at everybody, look at some of these other. I consider us a top project in the space. Maybe our volume doesn't necessarily speak to that, but would love to understand other people's feedback on that.
I think what Bear Snake is saying is there's a ton of other projects out there that just pump on OpenSea to top 10, and then I think most of them disappear, whereas we're hovering pretty low on OpenSea. But I feel like we have so many things in our project that are more long term, that speak to more long term viability. Anyway, Edward, what do you have to say?
So I tweeted about this the other day, actually. There's just a feeling, and that's so vague and unquantifiable. But if you see, you see big names like Gremplin regularly tweeting about wizards. Toads have a trait in the project that are based on wooden boys. It feels like the people who get it, who are interested in more than just the I don't know, eternal pump, are interested in wizards. And, that might not be wholly true, but, I don't want the next Fiverr art project. And those are the things that are pumping. No disrespect to people who are in it just to make money, but I see what's pumping and I don't want that. I don't want the people who are constantly typing exclamation point floor in Discord. That is so frantic and anxiety inducing. I don't care for it. Immediately as I stepped into the Discord, I knew, I felt good, and I don't know, it was just a feeling I got, and so that's what I have to say is you just know, that again, it's unquantifiable, but it's just it.
Yeah. I guess, and maybe this is too transparent, but you guys will get to know me over all this. Is I used to play music. I was a touring musician for a really long time, and and there were these bands that, and we called them the bands, right? Where there would be bands that all the other musicians who were real musicians had all this respect for them, right? They were the people that were inspiring new groups to form and new sounds. But those bands, they would never reach critical, because they would never reach critical success because they were doing something a little bit different. And I have no doubt that Wizards will be around for a long time, especially given all the stuff that's sort of behind the curtain that you guys will know soon. But it's interesting that there is that there's probably with other projects like us that are doing things a little bit different, that aren't playing the week to week game. And you just have to wonder, do some of these projects sort of inspire other projects that then take those unique aspects, and get that critical adulation, or do they break out and get their time? It's just an interesting thing that I think about all the time.
Zayla, what's up, man?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
you're making total sense. Go ahead.
It sounds like you want to inspire other projects to possibly fork ours, or make them think about forking us in a way, and maybe a good way or whatever. But
I guess what I'm saying is, I believe in what we're doing so much, and obviously everybody here does too. And there's this feeling of, are we is it to our detriment to play the long game? I don't think so. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it, But it's just something that's out there.
One key thing I think we're missing in this community, but it's just still too early because maybe there's not too much going on in the background that the community can develop on, that we don't really know which way we're going. There's not I don't know how to say that. Anyway, if we can find some way to onboard other NFT projects, maybe build concept art with them, around them, just start building bridges, because what makes a crypto project successful is interoperability, people, able to cross bridges and things like that. So that's what
Yep.
It's a
I
great
will.
idea.
I will say, like, on the topic of, it does suck a little bit to watch like X NFT project just absolutely rip. But if you look historically, what happens to a lot of those is, it is. I don't want to say it's a pump and dump, but the hype comes and goes. And I think, like, at least just tracking my own portfolio of NFTs, and like I have a spreadsheet where I'm every once in a while I go through and update everything, and just like seeing how the wizard, my one wizard, has remained stable, like in comparison to a lot of other projects that I hold, that gives me hope that, if anything, I think that's a characteristic of a blue chip, because,
Yep.
it always has the potential for a moon, but at the same time, you don't have to worry so much about the floor falling out. So, it seems like something, I feel safe just stacking a few more of these guys, because, they're blue chips, baby.
I think so too.
Yeah,
We
and
had
I'm looking
O
forward to
and we
getting
had
some of this
Slick
stuff
Chick
land.
come up.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Oh, do you want to speak first? You had your hand up.
Hey everybody. Yeah. I was I think just the nature of this project means it was always going to be like a slow burn. And then but what I've been noticing recently, looking at other projects and kind of trying to figure out, like, why are these people pumping and then also maintaining longevity at the same time. And I think a large part of that is the sense of community. I feel like because of the complexity of this project in terms of the decentralized IP and the things that we're trying to do, the ethos behind the project, it can make it somewhat difficult to understand. But when you have simpler, I want to call them memes, that can make people feel part of a project. So if you take the Toads, for example, you just see them spamming everywhere, basically exclamation point vibe, which is kind of just taking the piss out of exclamation point floor, but in a fun way. And they all seem to get it. And by saying exclamation point vibe, they're signaling to everybody else that they get it. But whereas with the wizards, to get it is to write lore, to get it is to to be building things in the background. And I think we've attracted a crowd that is definitely going to be here for the long run. But that's perhaps a reason why we haven't seen the same kind of price action that other projects have had.
Yep. And then Slick Chick, what's up?
Hey guys, so this is the first
Hi.
NFT project I've gotten into, and I actually am a professional investor, and I just was blown away by it because I could see how I was really impressed by the decentralized content creation. I could really see the value, and somebody earlier said this was like a blue chip. I think that's how I looked at it. And I didn't really actually appreciate the value until I went out and started researching other projects and other projects that were mooning. And I was like, what is this? And I started joining some of their discords, and I'm like, I really don't understand. But I think one thing that they do that I think we can improve on as a community here is visibility. So with Toads, I know they all changed their profile pictures to Toads. Lazy Lions, not that that's as phenomenal, but they also all made their profile pictures Lazy Lions. And I think when we talk about the decentralized content here that people are putting in and the creations, I think we can all do a better job of sharing and continuing to create that and sharing it with like our outside communities. I think just all helping come together to increase the visibility of this project, because I don't think that could hurt. And I think that it is a very remarkable project that is not getting as much attention as it should be getting.
Yep. I think we're all on the same page. I think we get it. I think like the slow build is actually to our benefit in the future. And if you guys only knew the things we have cooking behind the scenes, then like I'm not worried a bit, and I know that when these things land, it's just most likely this project is going to skyrocket in terms of popularity. And yeah, I think I think we're all on the same page. I think we're all pretty much doing awesome things. You know, I think network effect is huge, and that speaks to the visibility. That speaks to growing the community. I think network effect is everything in every market. Um, so yes, thank you all for your input, and I think we all get it.
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, I have two thoughts. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
just one real fast. I appreciate that, Slick. I do think maybe one thing that we can talk about, and we can come back to you guys, is like, there's some stuff that will hopefully come out in the next week or two. Fingers crossed, if everything goes the way we want it to, that I think will put some spotlights on us. And maybe we do pick a day where we all, the people who are believers, we pick a day to like switch our profiles and just give a little bit of shout out. That could be cool. So, I definitely think that's a part of it. It is, these are these profiles are us, right? And so, maybe we can tap into that in the near future and organize it.
I also don't. I also don't want to overlook the fact that there's like 80% of the people in this room have a wizard as their profile pic. So we believe in you and love you and
Of
see you.
course.
And I love you if you're not using a wizard. It's totally fine. But you know what I really love more than using a wizard as a profile pic is the people who are actually making content with our wizards. And so I want to give some shout outs right now.
Oh
Yeah, 'cause
yeah.
this is actually the best. It's better. It's even better than profile pics. And so obviously an all-star wizard is Magus Wazir with just more of his. I guess it's a pretend game. I don't even know if it's a real game.
Loch Ness said something this week in our like staff Discord. She was like, "The devil works hard, but Magus wins
Yes.
yes. And so stuff like that is just crucial. And here's what else I love about Magus Wazir is we've asked him to like, hey, do you want to come up and speak about your stuff like for the past two Wizard Wednesdays, and he still hasn't. And so now I'm at the point where
Yeah,
I'm
where are
like,
you?
you know what? I like him better mysterious.
Oh, I want to hear his
No,
voice.
I want him to
Who
like
is this
remain in
masked
the
man?
background and be this super mysterious wizard we never hear from.
I'm gonna invite him up, and all he's gonna do is ring a
Yeah.
bell. And I'll have to like mute him.
Yeah. So thanks, Magus Wazir. And then of course Oz has been making some amazing artwork. He's got a work in progress for someone named Timothy Pipes, and apparently with help from my friend's art. And then we've got Chaos Mage Mio with this hilarious. I guess he's doing like a burn election. He's putting his wizards up and having people choose which wizard to burn.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so the funniest like candidate up for election right now is this wizard called Fabio of the Sands, and it's this hilarious wooden boy wizard. And I gotta say, like the way he's depicted in this election artwork is he looks so sad and pitiful, as if he's getting ready to be burned, and you can see it in his little pixel eyes. He's saying, "Please don't burn me." So if I carry any weight on this election, please don't burn little Fabio of the Sands. He's a good-looking wizard. And then I got to shout out Small Protect for doing some amazing voxel work. It's funny because like Dota and I have been looking for a voxel artist, and Dota, of course, went to the infamous Fiverr to find voxel artists.
Oh, you gotta tell
It's
him.
so funny because like Dota was like sharing some work with me, and don't take this the wrong way,
bad.
Dota, but like to Dota's non-artistic eye, he was like, "Hey, this doesn't look bad, right?" And I was just,
That
was harsh.
no, come on. I will never look at one of your smart contracts and pretend to know what the hell it is. Okay, but dude, this like Fiverr voxel art was like just so unacceptable. But what I'm trying to say is, Small Protect's voxel art is just amazing. And like for the longest time, I felt like Dota must think I'm just being super picky about this Fiverr voxel art. And now I'm glad that we have someone who's a real voxel artist like Small Protect to show how it's done. because like the biggest problem is like these Fiverr artists were not considering all the angles of a three-dimensional object. They were just like looking at one angle and then making their 3D art just based on the one angle. But like Small Protect is doing the full 3D object. So anyway, that was a big rant about how much I like Small Protect's voxel work. And then another favorite piece I've been seeing is Hin Boyd's tavern scenes, with me and Dota's portrait hanging in the tavern. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
So good.
Speaking of that, I want to make like a generator like we have with the Good Morning generator that puts like any wizard's face in a frame. I've been meaning to ask Oz, but really anyone who has time. Oz is really busy, I know. If anybody wants to like build a frame like that tavern scene, I want to build like a GM generator that's like just for your faces. So then you could like, go to the page and maybe even pick your frame or whatever. And make like a PFP version of your wizard that's just like the face basically.
Yep.
So anybody wants to make a frame or help on that? That would be amazing.
Yep.
Okay. Spaz says he can work with Foz to make a WizBot to create GMs and frames. Perfect. I love it.
And then I also wanted to shout out Hin Boyd has been making some pretty funny memes as well. And he did an "Are You Afraid of the Dark" meme that was like related to the burn. And what was funny to me about that is anyone who's like referencing "Are You Afraid of the Dark" is totally revealing their age, because I remember that show. Do you guys remember "Are You Afraid of the Dark"?
Of course.
Yeah,
No.
I
Yes.
remember it.
Yeah, totally. But like, I don't think Gen Z knows what "Are You Afraid of the Dark" is. But I was just going to give a funny anecdote about how me and my brother used to scare my little sister with that cheesy Nickelodeon horror show. But it was pretty scary. I gotta say.
It was kind of like Goosebumps, where it was just like a bunch of episodic short stories of like yeah, they're like around the
Exactly.
campfire and just kind of like saying short stories to each other. It was pretty cool.
Exactly. "Are You Afraid of the Dark" was like the Goosebumps of TV, 100%. So I just wanted to give those shout outs. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm sure I did, but I think that's like the most valuable aspect of our community is everybody's just creating artwork, creating memes, creating content, and of course, the Book of Lore is continuing to grow. And behind the scenes, we're looking for more ways to share the Book of Lore entries. We want to put those on more social media. We really want to incentivize people adding to the Book of Lore. And then, of course, I think Dota shared this last time, but putting stuff into the Book of Lore whitelists you for future airdrops. So keep that in mind.
So some of the other things with the Book of Lore, shout out to Niski this week, who's actually working on a Book of Lore bot. I don't know if he's deployed it yet. I think he's working on it. But I think we'll have new entries of the Book of Lore being dropped into the Art and Lore chat. We should probably hook it up to Twitter as well. On kind of the like complexity issue, the complexity of like trying to understand wizards and people who are like new coming in. One of the things we're working on is like just helping the website be a bit better. Like we want to get all of Wizard Wednesdays up on the website. We want to make sure that it's organized. We want to get we need to write up more about like I answered today like, oh, how are the wizards stored on chain? I need to write that blog post. I've been saying that since like June. But one of the biggest ways that we're going to try to help manage the complexity besides documentation is this idea of putting affinity on OpenSea. Okay, so here's the idea. We've the folks who are in Discord kind of know about this, right? That it's like you can go to Wizard's Guide and you can see this idea of affinity. What is the idea of affinity? Affinity is, essentially all of your wizard's traits, the body, the familiar, the head, the item, they have a sort of like, let's say like magical power built within them of a certain sort of flavor. And the, and within that, within those traits, there's actually like a magical strength that becomes kind of the cohesiveness of your wizard that comes when you have parts that are from sort of, let's call it the same magical flavor. I don't know, Elf, if you want to correct my terminology here. But it's a little bit harder to understand because what it shows actually is that some wizards who act in this really cohesive way, our community who comes to Wizard Wednesday, reads the Discord, you understand this idea of like, oh, a 5 out of 5 affinity means, for example, all 5 of your traits have like fire affinity, or a 4 out of 4, it's like a 4 trait wizard with 4 forest affinity traits or something, and so that will have a certain like type of magic versus like a wizard that's based in the desert or something. So these ideas, they exist within our wizards. They're stored on chain, but they're not actually exposed on OpenSea. So one of the things that we want to do, people have asked for, that we think the community wants, is for us to do a metadata update to OpenSea. Now, of course, this big question is like, well, wait, I thought wizards were on chain, and they are. And the question is, is this going to change what's on chain? And the answer is no. Is it going to change the rarity of my wizard? And the answer to that is no, with an asterisk, because it doesn't change the fundamental rarity of your wizard. None of your traits will change. But what will change is like surfacing the number of traits, the affinity, and then like the sort of percentage of affinity on your wizard. So I do recognize that there's a case that, for example, there might be a market repricing of some wizards once these traits become easier for people to access through a user interface that they're used to. So I for sure want to do this, but I also want to make sure we check with the community. So what I'm going to do is the plan is now, give me a bit of flexible room here, but the plan is that we are going to upload these new traits that show affinity and affinity percentage onto testnet OpenSea. So if you haven't tried this before, OpenSea actually has a testnet. We'll pass it around the secret tower and we'll let people kind of like explore it. And, just to double check, take a look. And then what I'd like to do actually is I'd like to take a snapshot vote. So snapshot.org is a website where you can basically go and people who own a wizard can sign a vote saying like, oh yes, I vote for or against this. And so we'll put it up to a vote. Do you want to add affinities to OpenSea? And I'll describe what those look like in the post, and you can vote. And so we haven't picked the exact numbers, but it'll be fairly low, right? Like it'll be something like as long as 100 wizards vote, like 100 like wizard holders, one wizard, one vote. And as long as we get 100 votes, and then more than 50% want to add affinities to OpenSea, then we will add it. And that's basically like a soft, let's call it like a soft metadata update that like doesn't affect the underlying sort of like essence of any of your wizards. It doesn't change the traits. It just exposes new data.
Yeah.
There's a...
I was going to mention the second thing. So in addition to exposing the affinities,
there's a second thing, yeah.
We are also doing a small rename pass on certain properties. It is really just to fix a few mistakes. Like, let's see, how do I say this? There's a Death Eater, for example, and that's like straight up a J.K. Rowling creation. I don't want us to get sued. I don't think we would, but just to protect against that, we're changing the name of the Death Eater. And then some of the clothes, the bodies are like the title of them are miscolored. I called something blue and it's really red, and so we're just trying to fix those stupid little things. It's really as simple as that. Just side note, it's funny because I was watching a Let's Play of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, a game made by Capcom, a hugely important game, and they freaking misspelled Alucard's name in the game. They spelled it Alucard with a T on the end. And if you're going to misspell any character's name, it is definitely not that one that you want to misspell, because his spelling is crucial, because it's Dracula spelled backwards. So if you misspell Alucard, you have made a huge fuck up. So if Capcom can misspell things, I think we can too. But we're gonna try to fix these misspellings and misnamings. So that's all I wanted to say about the rename.
Yeah, and so for the rename, two things to know about that. One, I'm going to give you a spreadsheet. In fact, I think I even have the spreadsheet. Let me just double check with Elf after before I share it. Well, I'll give you a spreadsheet, which is literally like, here are the 20 things that we're going to rename. there's like 2 traits named purple yoga, so we're going to rename one of them violet yoga.
Yeah.
The Venus flytrap, like the unicorn horn prop,
Yep.
is actually labeled Venus
Yep.
flytrap. It's like
Huge
straight
mistake.
up wrong. And so that said, we'll give you the spreadsheet of what these props are that we're proposing to change, and we will have a separate vote. It's going to be a separate vote because affinities is just adding new information and exposing that was already there. These are actually renames. I honestly don't think these are going to be contentious in the community. I think everyone's going to vote for it. And it's going to be my expectation is that these are like straightforward changes. People are going to want to do it. But I also just want to make sure that we're like doing a gut check with like cryptographic signatures to it's basically a governance vote that people who actually hold wizards want to do this. So I'll put this all up in a doc, and we will, send it out, and I'll ask you to vote, and we'll go from there.
Will this be our first like official Connect to Wally governance vote?
Yep.
Cool. Please vote the right way.
Just go with your heart. That's
Vote for the rename. I'm going to start putting up political banners on our Twitter. Vote for the rename. Yeah. vote for prop 01
against the flame.
That misspelling anecdote reminds me of when we misspelled Gandalf in one of the posts, and we kind of got called out for it.
Disaster.
Hey, we're all human. We're all wizards. Wizards make mistakes.
Totally. Cool. So we did have someone who wanted to share lore today, but I think we're over time, so we might push that to next week. Unless, Dotta, you think we should fit it in, or?
I think we should probably cut it time. Okay. We had a lot to cover. We could do 2 lore next week if we'd want to. So sorry for the lore share.
Yep. But lore is honestly one of the most important things, so I don't want to downplay that at all.
Yep.
Before we go, did we talk about the Book of Lore at all today?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Well, what do you want to say?
I just want to say that it's pretty freaking awesome, and that people should keep writing in it.
Yeah, Elf just promised a future airdrop for everyone that writes.
No, I said you get whitelisted for writing in the book, which is true. 100 of the flames were because people wrote in the book, right?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, we will. That's a good place.
No, it is, and not to beat this, but Magus Wazir once again, he came up with this concept of proof of lore, and I think that's crucial to what we are.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So lore writers get favored.
I would like it if Dotta or Alf, someone writes in the Book of Lore, you guys have to go over and make them dinner in person.
That's the airdrop. We show up to your house and make you dinner.
Airdrop is we come to your house.
Elf, what?
And we make you make us.
Elf, what is, if you had to cook one dish for a wizard, what would it be?
It would be stewed potatoes and rabbit.
Nice. Sounds hearty.
That's a Lord of the Rings reference.
I will say this: the longer Wazir doesn't come up on stage, the more I'm convinced this is Vitalik or some super coder.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, exactly.